start with Friday night. I mean, it's a fun event, so I don't know what you learned, but what did you learn, if anything?
Well, I learned that Noah's got some hops. Those guys had a lot of fun. I think in the past we probably went a little too hard on those days and we didn't have a very good showing. So I lightened the load a lot on them on Friday for practice and just ran through a lot of 5-on-0 stuff. So I gave them that opportunity to kind of have fresh legs and have some fun with it. And that's what I told them: have fun with it. This is about the fans. It's 100% about the fans and getting to know you guys and seeing you guys for the first time and putting a name with a face and getting an autograph. So that's my approach to it. Even the scrimmage, it wasn't a scrimmage. It was more open gym. And they asked me, hey, what are we going to do here? Are we supposed to be playing our defense? And I said, treat it like an all-star game. Go have fun. And that's what we did.
Obviously, does he do that regularly? And when he does that, you go, gosh, I really wish you were eligible this year.
I certainly wish he was eligible, especially, he's so good in the open floor. He's so athletic and so quick. And he's one of those quick twitch guys that can make a play and be down the floor in 2 or 3 steps, it seems like. So it sure would be nice to have him, but he's going to be a future of Mountaineer basketball and something for all you fans to look forward to in the future. Ali's come a long way. He really has. From the day he walked in here, Ali was really, really raw, and Ali is bought into everything we're doing, understands what we're asking of him. He does have some limitations and very raw in some aspects of his game, but he'll find a way to get 8-9 rebounds in a 20-minute scrimmage, which he proved that first time. So. Yeah, we're excited about him, and he gives Jesse a dynamic that he has to go against every day. That's 7 foot plus, and he's hard to score over, and he's really good at getting in the way. So that's very helpful.
Break on his ankle.
He came back. He was back in action yesterday, so he was full go. He didn't skip a beat, so he looked really good yesterday. He had a little bit of a stomach illness that set him out for about 15 minutes in early, mid practice yesterday. But I think it's something he ate. But he got right back in there after clearing his stomach, and so he's back in action. The ankle looks good, and he looks healthy and back in good spirits.
And I assume nothing. We got to keep asking nothing from the NCAA on him.
Nothing. I hope to hear this week.
What are you, 2-3 weeks into this? Give us just your thoughts. Strengths, weaknesses. Where are you?
Eventually here we're going to have a close scrimmage against an opponent, so that's going to be refreshing from all of our perspective to figure out, how we manage our rotations. Who's going to give us those minutes, those dog minutes, go in there and sit down and guard someone? Who's going to go in there and get the hard rebound? And so, right now, all these guys are getting all the minutes they can handle, whether it be in practice or these, short scrimmages that we're throwing in front of them. So it's going to get to a point where, you're going to have to narrow your rotation and the minutes become all that more valuable. But so far it's been great. I think they're picking everything up pretty quick. We added another family of sets. We're looking at another change of pace in terms of a defensive style to change the game if we need to. So we're throwing some other things at them, and they're picking it up really quick. And so I'm really excited and optimistic about our growth so far. And I think we're going on day 12 of practice. So not even halfway through the preseason practices.
Josh, I know the closed-door scrimmages are hush-hush, but can you give us like a where or who, anything?
No, I can't. I'm not allowed to reveal any of those details, but it's coming pretty quick, and we're going to get a good feel for where we're at, and we're excited about that opportunity.
Write it down on a piece of paper and leave it there when you leave.
I'm sure somebody will leak it sooner or later, and you'll probably know the stats before I get a chance to look at them. It seems like it happens that way in so many cases.
Games, you like to get some wins in early season games, obviously, but do you have to approach those almost like NFL exhibition games, as far as finding things out and the like.
Are you talking about the scrimmage and the regular season? I mean, I certainly, in this instance, I mean, when we look at the schedule, I wish I probably had about 4 or 5 bye games before we went to, the MTE, a multi-team event, which we're going to Fort Myers this year. So I wish I had a few more under my belt, but we will. If you count the close scrimmage and you count the exhibition game with George Mason. So that'll be 5 fairly, opponents that we can kind of figure out where we're at before we really get into the high major Power 5 type opponents.
Josh, not to stick on Raekwon, but 2 things. One, any reason you say you hope to hear this week? Like, is that a timeline at all or a backboard or anything?
They give you a certain amount of time. They give you a time frame to work with, and they try to, if you meet certain requirements in terms of timelines, try to get that done before your first your competition. So hopefully that falls in line. We know before we go out and play someone.
And then you kind of went through this before with Jose last year, but it's such a unique situation because the phone could ring and you could have an upvote or a downvote and you have no idea, but he's important. And then the tail side of this coin is like, it's a whole other mess you have to deal with if he can't go. But how do you go day to day with him and make sure he's involved, but also that if it doesn't work out, that he's still involved? He knows that too.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, he doesn't get it, and we have to do what's best for Raekwon. So we're going to keep him involved in everything we do, keep our thumb on him, so to speak, in terms of getting better each and every day, staying locked in. I worry about that for Raekwon because he really does need basketball in his life. And, I've touched on his story a little bit, and I don't want to get into it, and you guys probably get into it with him, but basketball is something he needs on a day-to-day basis, and he needs that structure and that accountability each and every day to, keep his, head on straight, so to speak.
Can he secret scrimmage without a waiver?
No, he cannot.
I mean, through years, we've often had that guy coming off the bench, sort of instant offense energy, maybe more so. Joe last year, Taz did it at one point. Is that something you like, you want to do? Do you think you can find that?
I mean, I hope so. I want to put our best foot forward in terms of our starting lineup for sure. But I'm looking at, and we met as a coaching staff earlier trying to figure out, we need to start narrowing down, and letting the cream rise to the top, so to speak, and figure out where we're going because we are getting closer to, playing an opponent. So, but that isn't lost on me. Over the years, some of the best teams had someone, an instant offense off the bench or somebody that can affect the game in a very positive way, whether it be on the offense or defensive end. So that's not lost on me. And when we have those discussions, we definitely keep that in mind. And to which direction we're going with our starters. And I think we got a great group of guys that are going to buy in one way or another. So I think they're going to accept that role if that is their role.
Coach, last year with Jose going through the process, when it got denied the first time, and then there was the appeal to the other body, if the same thing kind of happens with Raekwon, would you guys look at appealing going to the?
Yeah, I think most certainly we would. I really hope we don't get there, and it's. I feel like it should be a rubber stamp if you really know his file in terms of what he's all went through and why he chose West Virginia, and so there's a lot of dynamics and a lot of variables to this whole story, and I think the NCAA is going to do right by him at the end of the day, and he's going to be playing for us, and that's my gut feeling.
Wise, I know it's way too early to determine that, but how deep do you think you are? How many think you're ultimately going to play when it starts to get down to
my gut says 9, right at the perfect world we can get to 10. But when things get really tough, I think it's going to be 9 guys that give us significant minutes. And when I say significant, it's probably going to be 8+ minutes, from those top 9 guys. So that's what I'm looking at right now. It doesn't mean that's not going to change, but that's kind of where I'm sitting right now and what I've seen so far.
When you get to the scrimmage, it'll really kind of be, I'm assuming it'll be like the first time with the new offensive changes, the first time you'll kind of see it against, a live opponent. What kind of things, I mean, obviously, you can see, is it working, what's not working, but what other things will you be looking at in an instant like that, because, this is the first time, you're putting this offense together?
I'm going to look at a lot of points per possession. That's a big stat for me. Also, assist to turnover ratio. Assist to turnover ratio is going to have a lot to do with how well we've instilled what we're doing on them. That means, everybody knows where to be. They're playing with a lot of continuity and a lot of chemistry. You see some of the best teams over the course of the years. They have a real high assist to turnover ratio, and they really know what they're doing. So, if that starts to get upside down, I might be throwing too much at them too quick. And so I'm very mindful of that, and even looking back at the stats from my 20-minute scrimmage I had on Saturday morning, our assist to turnover ratio is certainly going in the right direction. We were 19 to 14, between the two teams, and I think the week prior to that, we weren't quite at that level yet. So, but that has a lot to do with guys making shots as well. So. If I look over here, and then Seth and Quinn were both on the same team. Seth was 4 for 4 from 3. Quinn was 4 for 5 from 3. So you guys did make shots, which is very helpful in the assist to turnover ratio. So I certainly am mindful of that as well.
Stat question here, and maybe analytical, maybe. Like last season, WU was towards the bottom in the Big 12 in rebounding and assists. And so you bring in a guy who's, I think, was the second leading rebounder in the ACC, and the leading assist guy from the Pac-12. So how much can those two guys make a difference, just in those two stat categories?
No, it's going to be huge. I mean, Kerr is like we've talked about over and over, he's a pass-first guy, and he's got as good a vision as I've ever seen in the college game. So it's going to be great to have him on the floor as a coach on the floor, as a floor general that can get you into your stuff and get people in the right position, and he knows where everybody's going to be. Now, from the rebounding perspective, how that translates from Jesse playing a 2-3 zone to us playing man-to-man might be a little bit different. So I hope his numbers, and we're going to rely on him, rebounding the ball as well as he did in the past, but it could look a little different. And I need to study his offensive rebounds. I mean, that would be more of a stat that we can kind of compare across Syracuse to West Virginia.
So when you're looking at those two guys, did those stats play a role in fixing those two areas, or was it just a matter of watching their film, talking to them, in terms of bringing them in?
No, I mean, those stats were huge. I mean, we certainly analyzed Kerr in terms of his defensive presence, and it's not exactly his strong point, but he's got such his strengths in the offensive end can really negate some of his deficiencies on the defensive end. And I'm not saying Kerr's a bad defender. He's a very active defender, but he's not the most athletic guy out there by any means. And he's smart. He plays the game in the right way, and he understands what his deficiencies are, his weaknesses. So that's the first step in being a good defender, understanding how to cover up some of those.
Offrey still have family in Israel?
He does, and we're very mindful of his situation that he has going on, and his family's in the northern part of Israel, and most everything that's going on is in the southern part of Israel. But yes, his dad, mom, sister, older sisters, all live together in northern part of Israel. So they haven't been directly impacted, but he certainly has a lot of people he knows in the southern part of Israel that are going through some really tough times here. It's a sad situation. and his dad was here a couple weeks ago. He spent a week with us, so it was great to have him and get to know him better. And he came to every practice and even went paintballing with us. So he was on the staff team. So we had fun with his dad, and his dad's a joy to be around. And we hope and pray everything goes well for his family there in Israel.
Staff always seems to win at softball.
You know what? We let them have a couple extra dudes, and so they had the numbers on us, and you know, we let them win in a lot of ways just to help them build their chemistry.
So that's it. Just all for confidence.
That's right.
Josh, it sounds like you're playing a lot in the preseason, like scrimmaging.
Yeah,
More
I
than usual.
mean, it's definitely a strategy for me. As many times as I can get in the huddle with certain guys and get a feel for them, and they get a feel for me, is probably going to be to our benefit. And you know, we did miss out on those the summer games, you know, going overseas. So you know, I'm trying to make up some of that and try to build that chemistry, and I want them to know what to expect from me in a huddle, and they need to know what, you know, vice versa. So we're doing that as much as possible, and they're at the end of the week trying to reward them with a scrimmage with referees and get game look, you know, for them to be more comfortable with us, and I think that's to our benefit.
I was going to say, if it's 20 minutes of drill instead of 20 minutes of practice, do you sit down after practice and say, because of the scrimmage, I got this much more, this much different than if we'd done drills or something, you know, 5-0 or anything like that? Do you see a difference?
See a difference in what capacity?
You evaluate your results from practice from doing one thing instead of the other.
Well, I mean, we drill out a lot of these defensive things and these offensive, you know, our offensive sets and everything like that. But when it really comes down to it, you're going to judge them on how they play and how they execute in a game situation. So to have that film is invaluable for our coaching staff to be able to sit down with those guys and go through, okay, the nuances of you know, how we transition from a set to a continuity, and where you need to be, and defensively where you need to be, and so getting that carryover and getting that, you know, that sample, so to speak, to sit down with them and understand and educate them and be on the same page is very valuable.